Sorry, I totally forgot to record a video for the intro to this video, but today we watched The Babadook. If you're not sure what we're doing, please go watch the first episode. Thank you. Enjoy. Since the Babadook's kind of a dark, mysterious figure, I decided to make what I like to call the Black Martini. The ingredients we used were Chambord, blue curacao, and any type of vodka you'd really like. I was actually gifted a giant bottle of Absolute. Thanks, Chris. So we started with 2 ounces of vodka, and then 1 ounce of blue curacao, and then we put in a half an ounce of Chambord, and then we gave it a nice little shake. Then I realized that was not nearly enough Chambord to give it a dark color, so we added some more. Shook it up again off camera. There we have it, the Black Martini. Garnished with a little lemon peel.
I'm not gonna lie, honestly, off camera, I had to add some lemon juice to this thing because I didn't realize when I came up with the recipe that it was literally straight alcohol, and it is super strong. I had to sip on this the whole movie because I'm not. We'll finish it during this recap. So, The Babadook. Honestly, I don't think a horror movie has ever made me feel this way. It kind of loses its scariness after you see the ending, which we'll go over in a little bit. Jesus. Anyway, The Babadook is set in southern Australia, and we follow Amelia, a single mother to Sam. In the beginning of the film, it shows us that Amelia actually loses her husband in a car crash on the way to give birth to their only child, Samuel. As the movie goes on, we see Amelia struggle to accept her fate as a single mother. From Sam getting kicked out from school, he's building all these contraptions to fight monsters. He's obviously really disturbed. Honestly, it comes down to Amelia not being the mother he needs. When it seems as if nothing else could get worse, Amelia tells Sam to choose a book to read one night, and he chooses Mr. Babadook. In the book, it progressively gets creepier and creepier with pop-ups and this weird monster that's just like engulfing the pages, which forms the catchphrase, if it's in a word or it's in a look, you cannot get rid of the Babadook. So after they read the book, it starts progressively getting worse and worse as every day it seems like it's creeping more and more into Amelia's mind, and Samuel is seeing it firsthand. Like, it starts with her seeing stuff, and one night when she's sleeping with Sam, you start hearing him come from the corners of the room and out through the wardrobe. Honestly, some of the scarier scenes that I've seen in horror movies have come from this movie. She ends up one night throwing the book out into the trash and then goes about her day with Sam. So when they get back, the book is actually on the porch again. So she picks it up and brings it inside. She really tries everything to destroy this book, like ripping the pages out. She throws it on the barbecue pit, burns it, everything. It always keeps coming back. Bringing it back inside and setting it on the kitchen table, and the whole story has changed. Pretty much saying the more she pushes it away, the worse it'll get. It basically shows what's going to happen coming up into these next scenes. Just thinking about this part gives me chills, because she opens the book and it shows her strangling her dog, strangling Sam, and then at the very last scene it shows her slitting her own throat. Obviously this has her very, very spooked. I believe this is when she burns the book, and she keeps pushing and pushing it away, basically saying it's not real. She doesn't believe any of this. It's all a prank. Somebody is stalking them, trying to freak them out. She even goes to the police station and tries to form a report, and basically they just look at her like she's crazy. She has like charcoals all over her hands because she was trying to burn the book. That would have been the evidence to kind of kick the police officers in the butt, but she pretty much destroyed any evidence she had of somebody trying to stalk her. So next what happens, she keeps pushing and pushing away that the Babadook is real. It even affects her when she's driving in the midday, which always freaks me out in horror movies when stuff starts going down in the middle of the day, because that's when you think you're safe from the monsters, and it just wipes that out the window. She sees him crawling around the car and is in the middle of the road, causes her to sideswipe into somebody. He gets all pissed off and comes running out and yelling at her, and she just drives off. Just fucking leaves. Then she starts seeing cockroaches behind the fridge. They have some social workers coming to talk to her about Sam not being in school because he got kicked out earlier. It's just slowly stacking on top of each other, going straight downhill for her life. That night, she is sleeping with Sam because he said that somebody was in his room. So she sleeps in his room. That's when the Babadook takes her. And this goes down Evil Dead style. She basically lets him in by refusing to believe that he's not real. And as she screams, he enters her. The next few days, she's just completely out of it. She's trying to fight back against it, but it keeps pushing and pushing further, to the point where like she's seeing stuff on the TV screens and everything. There's one part where she's having a dream that her son's laying there just dead, and he's screaming, "Mom, Mom, Mom!" And she wakes up and she's holding the knife to him, and he's holding the dog, scared out of his mind, and he's still there wanting to protect his mom. Which, I mean, this kid better get the best birthday presents the next few years, maybe the rest of his life, because he stuck with his mom this entire time, even though she was trying to kill him. It keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Eventually, she ends up strangling the dog to death. If you've seen any Evil Dead movie, it's like the possession that is in those movies, where she's just basically trying to kill him the entire time. Eventually their neighbor comes over, Mrs. Roach, and she's just checking, saying, "Oh, is everything okay? And I'm always here for you if you need it." Amelia and the Babadook kind of use that to try to lure Sam out, which, by the way, it's a good thing Sam learned how to make all those weapons, because he used every single one of those to get away from her. It's really fun. Honestly, it's kind of like watching the Home Alone movies, but if Kevin McAllister was going against the entire Evil Dead horde. Sam is running away from Amelia, his mother, runs into the kitchen, sees their dog dead on the ground, starting to really freak out. That's when he goes and gets his arsenal of weapons to protect himself against his mother. Ends up going into the basement. She trips over some cord, and then as they're in the basement, she tries to trick him, saying that she wants him to meet his father. The basement is where they actually keep all of her husband's old belongings. So every once in a while, Sam will go down into the basement and play with all that stuff. Figured I would bring that up since I missed that in the beginning. She's holding him and is about to strangle him, and then all of a sudden he pulls out the knife and stabs her in the leg. He ties her to the floor by her hands and feet. He gets chased up the stairs into his room, where they have a final showdown, where he finally convinces her that she's still in there, and the Babadook gets released from her. She has this face down with this beast, which is growling and snarling at her, and she tells him to leave the house. It turns into like a cloak and a hat laying on the ground, and that's when she realizes that she has finally conquered the Babadook. Then they're outside gardening and collecting worms. He brings those worms into the basement and leaves them on the floor. To get rid of the Babadook is to live with the Babadook. Alright, That being said, this has been probably one of my favorite horror movies. Let's start with some good things I liked about the movie. If you haven't noticed from the recap, this movie is about depression and grief. Two things that you can never get rid of. That's something that everybody has dealt with. It does a really good job at explaining that you need to give time to your depression. You need to realize that it's there. You need to realize that your grief is there. They do a really good job at kind of giving a gist of what happened in Amelia's life that kind of brings her to this dimension of depression and anger and grief and regret all around. It's a really good movie. I've already said the horror scenes are just like some of the scariest scenes that I've seen in horror movies. Now, of course, let's jump into some bad things. This is a really, really good movie, so there's not a lot of negative things I have to say. One thing would be is a lot of the scenes where the Babadook is snarling or growling, it's like stock dinosaur sounds or dragon sounds. I know it was like a lower end budget indie film, but I don't know. I feel like you could have just got like assistant Steve to like roar into the mic and then like kind of like pitch adjust it a little bit and make it a little bit better. Hey, I'm not gonna let that be, oh, don't watch this movie because it has bad sound effects. Everything else in the movie is perfectly fine. Even the special effects with the Babadook, they must have spent a lot of their budget just making that look so good. Like I said in the previous video, this is not a professional review or anything like that. This is my personal review. If you've watched this movie and you think it was worse or better, then so be it. I'm giving this a strong 9 out of 10. You know what? I'll even say 9.2 out of 10. You know what? I'm taking the 0.2 back because they killed the dog. It's getting a 9. It's fantastic horror. That is my review on the Babadook. We'll rate the drink as well. Before I added the lemon juice, this got like a 3 out of 10. But after the lemon juice, it gets a strong 6 out of 10. I guess that's not strong. It was just way too strong. I'm not a vodka drinker. You could try this drink though. If you like vodka and Chambord and Blue Curacao, go for it. It's really good. Just add a little bit of like lime juice or like sour mix. It would make it all the much better. Or maybe pineapple juice. If I had pineapple juice, I would have tried that. But let's finish this drink and finish this review. See you in the next one.